It's always a mammoth task to narrow down bosses for lists like these, as there have been so many genius encounters since 2010. But as your stalwart warrior of words, I've dug deep inside myself and pulled out some proper gems. Now, fair warning, not all of the chosen entries will be obvious. For example, I put a Batman villain on here, but it's not Freeze nor Scarecrow. And no, it's not me trying to be a hipster about all of these things, but I am trying to offer you fresh, premium content for your ear holes. Also, I want to hear from you. Yes, you! I want you to let me know which bosses you put on the list, because in a few weeks' time we might be putting together a community-driven list on this very subject. With this in mind, I'm Jules, your big bad balding bastard, and these are the 10 best video game bosses of the decade so far. Number 10. Senator Armstrong, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Bosses can sometimes feel like exams, tests to prove that you've learned and mastered all of the game's controls in order to beat them. Senator Armstrong is just such a boss, but instead of sitting in silence in a study hall trying to remember how to spell the word spectrophotometrically, his fight is a balls-to-the-walls slice of chaos. There's ridiculous metal music, beefed up men bashing the shit out of each other, and he even chucks some cars about for good measure. And this battle will challenge you, for if you've not mastered the free blade mode, you're going to be mashed into a pulp by this politician's pumped up punches. It's an excellent and exhilarating fight which is designed to push you to breaking point. Number 9. Dragonslayer Ornstein and Executioner Smo, Dark Souls. Speaking of breaking points, welcome to the stage Ornstein and Smo, or as I've affectionately come to know him as the Smo Nut. This pair has already featured on many of our lists, but that in no way takes away from their awesome power. The fight would be challenging enough with just one of the deadly duo, but combined they counter each other's weaknesses with their strengths, and it's bloody terrifying. And then you've got to deal with the fact that whichever foe falls first, the other will absorb their power, making them twice the threat they were before. It's nightmarish and totally absorbing stuff, let me tell you. Number 8. The Xenomorph, Alien Isolation. Okay, so this one is pushing what is and isn't a boss, but when you think about it, the Xenomorph from Alien Isolation is an ultimate beast who ticks a lot of iconic boxes. For one, it's absolutely terrifying, instantly making me make fear smoothies in my trousers when it uncurled itself from the vent in the very beginning. Throughout the game, this thing is hunting you relentlessly, and it's learning, making each encounter feel like a tense puzzle as you figure out how to distract it long enough to make it to the exit. And you know what? Praise upon praise here, because the AI used for this is bloody amazing, as so many times I thought I'd given it the slip only for it to come hammering down the corridor after me. In short, it's a smart and testing boss that, while not being a conventional one, is one that should surely stand proudly amongst its peers, before probably eating them. Number 7. Deathstroke, Batman Arkham Origins. So here is the aforementioned Bat boss that I was talking about, and yes, I know Origins wasn't as good as the first 2 games, and yes, I know that Freeze and Scarecrow did so much more to change what a boss battle was.
But you know what, when it comes down to it, you look me in my shiny head and tell me that Deathstroke wasn't a pure amount of fun. Michael, do it. I want them to see my shiny face and my shiny head. Go on, do it. Look at that. Look at it. Deathstroke.
From the moment this fight begins, you know it's not going to be a gimmick. The arena is just bare, there's no reinforcement goons, it's just one-on-one. What this results in is a kinetic rush of counters, combos, and seeking out openings to attack, and it's utterly glorious. It's so good that fans of the series often tout this as being one of the best boss battles in the Arkham games, and that is something that I tend to agree with. Number 6. Argus, Vanquish. God damn, do I love Vanquish, and I am so happy to know that it's coming to Steam this year. In what other game can you slide around on your arse in a suit called the ARS while you shoot robots, dodge lasers, and smoke cigarettes while the world burns around you? Exactly, you can't. And if there is one boss to sum up the Vanquish experience, then it's got to be the first one, Argus. This monstrous machine takes up a good portion of the screen and has no issue filling the rest of it with missiles and lasers. The battle with this mechanized malcontent is fantastic, as there is never a rest moment. You're always moving or attacking, and once it changes forms and unleashes hell, it becomes a matter of inch-perfect timing to beat it. Chuck in a QTE ending which actually feels great, and you're left with a perfect storm of chaos. Lovely. Number 5. Eve, Ending A, Nier Automata. Intense. That's the word to describe this absolutely epic encounter, as you battle against a rogue humanoid machine who is on a quest of vengeance after you finished off his brother. This rage is translated perfectly into this boss battle, which sees Eve clad his arms in debris and then go about trying to punch you into base elements. It's a battle which mixes platforming, ranged and close combat with an ever-escalating need to dodge his insane attacks. I mean, the amount of energy balls he releases upon hulking out is insane, and it's the perfect encapsulation of a bullet hell fighter. It takes a lot to stand out in a game of near-perfect boss battles, but by gum, Eve sure does leave an impact. Number 4, the Nemesis System, Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor. Potential. That's what the Shadow of Mordor's boss system is just rife with. Depending on your playthrough, this mechanic might have been the best or worst thing you've ever experienced, and you know what? I've heard tales of epic encounters and fits of rage in equal measures as players have either bested or succumbed to their rivals. And you know what? Here are just some such tales for you now. So in your own time, please just tell us about your experience with Shadow of Mordor.
Sure, I was walking in Mordor one day, and I got involved in another battle with another boss, like someone I didn't really care about. Almost had him defeated. It was a difficult battle when suddenly I was struck by just a random arrow. That's the thing that really kind of gets to me, is how random it was, and like the last little bit of my health was gone, and it was just this random arrow from this archer, this tiny little guy in just this group of orcs. He was nothing, and then he, obviously because he killed me, yeah, he got promoted. I can't remember, I think his name was like Gorlag, the Swift or something, and you know what Swift means? It means small. I know what that means, and so I thought, okay. You got me, Gulag. So I decided, well, I'm gonna ride off, and I'm gonna sort this little tyke out, and then I'm gonna move on to bigger fish. And then I got there, and of course he was surrounded by a few heavies because he'd been going up in the world, and got me again. So he was obviously promoted again. So this time I was just like, I'm gonna f***ing kill this guy, and I went for him again. Ultimately, luck wasn't on my side, and it just kept. He got promoted, and he got promoted until he was basically like a duke. I'm not sure what the hierarchy system is in Mordor, and he got to the top, and finally, after literally 4 attempts, I killed him, and he's that big. He's not even a Peter Austin, and I got him, and that feeling of final revenge, redemption, finally bringing this motherfucker to his knees, making him bow before me after so many failed attempts, after watching him grow fat and arrogant off my suffering. That for me was the greatest feeling of conquest in a video game.
I thought it was
Oh.
Lovely stuff. The thought of a lowly grunt growing from his shabby ranks to a Lord of War is impressive and engaging, and can make for totally unique fights. You might square off against a poisonous and damage-resistant foe, or a lithe and cowardly one, but each will test your skills and your playstyles greatly. Like I said, it might not have been for everyone, but it can provide some of the greatest boss battles this side of 2010. Number 3. Barb Barbers, DMC, Devil May Cry. This is Barb Barbers, just doing God's work. With these lines begins one of the most creative and pulse-quickening battles in the otherwise hit-and-miss DMC reboot. From dodging lasers to smashing jowls, this fight runs a gauntlet of challenging scenarios. Stylistically, it's an utterly phenomenal fight, with Big Bob glitching in and out, freezing and morphing, all the while the background is just going silly. It's a feast for the eyes and the fingers as you mash his chubby face into chum. It even makes the mandatory enemy goon waves feel interesting as it takes on a high-speed chase feel. It's utterly draining once you finish the fight, but my god is it a fun ride. Number 2. Red, Pokemon Heart Gold / Soul Silver. Gosh dang, was this an experience. After battling through countless trainers and scaling the treacherous Mount Silver, you find a lone trainer standing at the top. This is Red, and not only does he serve as a huge bit of fan service, but as a monumental challenge for even the most battle-hardened team. Unless you've been grinding a lot, his Pokemon will likely be a lot stronger and a lot quicker than yours. Plus, he uses a fair number of full restores to extend the fight even longer. He is a serious thrill for prospective Pokemon masters, both young and old. And number 1, Master and Crazy Hand, Super Smash Bros. Wii U. When it comes to fighting game bosses, it's easy for the developer to go cheap. I mean, look at Galactus or anyone from the Tekken franchise as an example of this. However, it's tough to do a good fighting game boss that is A, fair, and B, still fun to fight. Therefore, I submit to the court, Master and Crazy Hand, as not only is this balls hard to beat, but these Glover f***ers make it damn fun to try. With a seemingly endless array of co-op moves, the handy shandies can batter you from all angles, even ripping open space and time to deal some damage. But it's an absolute riot to square off against them, and will make you feel true contentment if you can manage to knuckle down and give them the finger. And that's our list. I know that there were loads more bosses to include, but please let me know about them here for our community-driven video. And then why not swing by whatculture.com for more news and daily articles every goddamn day. You can follow us on Twitter here, and as always, I've been Jules, you've been awesome, and I'll speak to you soon.